AI drama alert. There have been major shakeups at OpenAI. Some key players have departed, but don't worry. They were only responsible for making sure the machines don't destroy all humans.
New GPT-4o model has some incredible capabilities that flew under the radar. We're going to show you just how powerful and maybe kind of horny that model actually is.
Me? Well, color me intrigued. You've got me on the edge of my...
All that, plus we have got real-world reactions to Project Astra, along with a look at their brand new image generation software. It's a wild week for AI, but we're covering it all for you right here, right now, on AI for Humans.
Welcome, everybody. This is AI for Humans, your guide to the world of generative AI. We are here to demystify the wild world of artificial intelligence. And good Lord, this was a week. We have a lot of stuff to get through. Today, we have a very exciting show. And Kevin, I just want to see, how are you? How you doing?
I am well, buddy. You know this because we've been hanging out all week covering the massive news from OpenAI, the 2-hour rodeo that was Google I/O. We've been making content all along the way. It's been a delight. Thank you to everybody who was engaging, by the way. I want to take a second to say that if you like any of the content that Gavin or I have made this week, please toss us a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you do, we'll read it at the end of the show. That's our guarantee to you. But engage, because it helps us out. But Gavin, there is still massive stuff. As much as you and I have been talking about AI all week, we've still missed a ton of stuff.
That's right. And now, Kevin, it is time. We have to get into it. It's time for the news.
News. It's the AI for Humans news.
We are starting off with a juicy piece of AI drama this week. Ilya Sutskever, a co-founder of OpenAI and formerly the chief technical officer, is out. Now this, if you've been following the OpenAI drama like we have, like a soap opera that's been going on for months and months and months, you remember back late last year when Sam Altman was kind of immediately fired and no one knew why. Ilya was part of that conversation to get him fired. Now, we're not really sure exactly how much, but clearly he was
We know
part
he
of the
sided
reason.
with the board because he voted,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
apparently Gavin was placed under the floorboards at OpenAI. And
So, yes.
in between the creaks of your sneakers on the hardwood, you could hear him breathing desperately, wanting to escape.
Where is Ilya? Where is Ilya? Was the entire internet's people were chanting again and again, and now we know Ilya's no longer there. He's leaving today. As of yesterday, Sam Altman posted a long post. It was a very nice post about how sad it will be to not have Ilya at the company anymore.
Yeah, GPT did a great job of writing his heartfelt letter. For sure.
But this is a big loss for OpenAI. And I think one thing you and I have been following this space for a while, but Kev, just to kind of talk through what Ilya was to this company. I mean, you and I have listened to a lot of his podcasts. I've listened to him. The Lex Friedman episode he did is really worth listening to because he's very smart, very intelligent, and goes deep on kind of his thoughts on AI. What do you think caused all this and why did it happen now?
No one knows for certain. Just to touch on how impactful and important Ilya was to the company, Elon Musk, in early days, he was the first to back OpenAI and put money in to the endeavor. He had said that one of his greatest accomplishments was recruiting Ilya, was stopping him from going to work, I believe it was at Google, and bringing him in at OpenAI. He is a brilliant mind, and every time people talk about this bizarre, ethereal competitive advantage that OpenAI has, this head start on all these other companies, how do they do it? What wizardry? What sorcery? A lot of people point to Ilya. He's certainly not the only one, but he was definitely there from the very start and was a major player. And getting to the why of it all, some of the rumors are that it's, the internet refrain is, where's Ilya, as you said, but it's also, what did Ilya see? Because all of the rumors around the time that the board rallied around ousting Sam Altman was that something might have happened behind closed doors. They got a glimpse into the future, and they said, we need to either shut this down or slow it down or build a nice protective wall around whatever this is, because that was Ilya's passion. He wanted to make AI safe, one of the initial goals of OpenAI. And so, A, I'm curious, do you think that's the case? And B, there was also another fairly...
Yes, I was just going to get into this.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. There was another departure which kind of speaks to that.
Yeah, so a guy named Jan Leike, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, Jan, if that's not how you say your name. Or if it's Jan, it's Jan. Jan was co-leading super alignment at OpenAI, and he just tweeted yesterday, "I resigned," which is a big deal, right? So now you've got Ilya, who's a person that you assume was thinking of alignment as a big thing, and Jan, who's also resigned. Now, when we say the word alignment, for those people out there who aren't living and breathing this stuff like we are, AI alignment means the idea that how the AI is going to interact going forward, and is it aligned with human values? So you want an AI that is aligned so that you don't have an AI that goes Terminator on us, right?
You don't
I
want
think
it to
there's an
lie
argument-
to us, to mislead
Yes.
us, to take
Yes.
control over our autonomous vehicles and our weaponry. There's
That's
multiple
right.
definitions for alignment. And real quick, Gavin, the "I resign" in the wake of Ilya announcing his departure with these long parables, these poetic departure notices to just in the
Yeah.
wake of that say, "I'm out." Is that telling? Am I reading too much into what little is there?
I think part of this is the drama we as humans want to see in this thing. Now, for all we know, this is a political thing, and many people said the original kind of blow up at OpenAI was really political and not as much about AI alignment. And so, as people who follow AI, there's a lot of people out there as the doomers of the world, the AI doomers who believe that like doing any of this AI stuff is leading us down a pathway where humanity is going to get crushed, which is a real possibility. My assumption is that like those two guys are probably coordinated in what they want this thing to be. And the story is that Ilya's going to go work on something else. We don't know what that is. Maybe he's going to get scooped up by Elon and come over to XAI. I would be
Or
surprised.
maybe he's going to scrub all his skin off like Gattaca and sit in a Faraday cage and wrap his knees as tight as he can into his elbows and just rock back and forth.
Kevin, maybe he'll go to the BC wilderness and the two of you guys can live in a non-technical world together. It could be Kevin and Ilya on a podcast going forward, and you could talk about mushroom picking and all sorts of fun things like that.
Oh, you've painted such a beautiful picture of me living off grid with my bestie. I want it now. But let's take a step back for those who are unaware of the massive OpenAI announcements that happened this week. Gavin, a miniature press conference happened on Monday where OpenAI unveiled GPT-4o, the Omni model?
Omni meaning omnipresent, omni everything, Omni the old magazine from the 1980s, a sci-fi
Jeez.
magazine. Shout out to my nerd fans out there.
I really felt like we were getting a glimpse at the future. And then immediately, Gavin, everybody got access to this brand new model, this GPT-4o, but only access to one aspect of it, just the text generation capabilities. So I want to dive into that, but I also want to set the stage. There was a whole bunch that they didn't even bother talking about at all at the conference. This thing, GPT-4o, has some incredible capabilities.
I think the crazy thing is there are all these great videos that came out outside of their press conference. First of all, shout out to OpenAI for what I believe is doing a press conference right versus Google I.O., which we'll get into a little bit later. I think OpenAI, maybe it's just the size of the company, it felt intimate and it felt like directed in a really good way. It was a half an hour long versus Google I.O.'s freaking whale of a press conference that you had to cut through the blubber to get to everything that was interesting. I think that it was cool to see. But then the interesting thing was they also then dropped another like 20 videos just demoing the voice stuff. But to your point, then they go and drop a blog post, which has all of this stuff that honestly, Kevin, some of that stuff was like shocking to me they didn't mention because it was really diving into the capabilities of this new model, GPT-4o, that weren't about the voice and weren't about the thing. And what I got from this, just to really quickly, OpenAI is very smart and they know the kinds of things that will be delivered well in a video press conference. And then they also know, oh, there's a whole nother press cycle we're going to get out of this stuff. So let's get into a few of those things. One of them is that it is going to do text in images a lot better. That was kind of a shocking thing. They showed this kind of like robotic hands typing on a computer, and they said, put this thing in there, now make the story longer. And it was able to coherently keep that text there. A couple small problems, but nothing too big. Then the 3D model thing was really interesting, right? You basically can prompt to 3D model within the ChatGPT interface. And now we're not getting necessarily out of this. Some of these startups we see are able to export actual like files that can be directly imported into 3D software programs, but it's not that far away, I feel like.
And the coherence of the image generation as well. Being able to upload a hand-drawn character, give it a description, and then say, now show me this character doing something it's not in the image. There was an example of a robot wearing a backpack, and they said, now make it type at a computer or catch a football. And it was rendering entirely new poses of this character, but keeping the design consistent. These are things that other companies are charging a lot of money for. If you want to do them yourselves, you have to spend hours training models and going through it. And this was like one shot, just upload the image and ask it, and it delivers it. I don't want to get too in the technical weeds here, but something that this model is doing is fundamentally different than other large language models right now. The way it treats input and output as the same, meaning that right now, if you want to have a conversation with a lot of these AIs that are out there, you speak to it, Gavin, it's transcribing your text, right? It's taking your audio, making it text, putting that text into the machine as an input, getting text out, and then converting that text into audio. So all of your input is being converted into text so that the LLMs can handle it. What this model is doing is treating the input the same as the output. So when audio goes in, it's treated as audio into the transformer, and then it comes out as audio. That is a fundamental difference with how all of this data is handled. And so it allows for incredible new capabilities. And there are other companies that have tried to do the audio to audio thing, but there are tons of hallucinations. It's where you get the glitches and the clicks and the pops. And what was interesting is there was an OpenAI bloopers video that was released as well that shows that in the middle of a response, the her-like audio assistant starts speaking French randomly.
So let's root for the home. Et après les chansons,
Oh no! What was that?
Sorry, guys. I got carried away. So
Yeah, you did.
Or you start hearing like sea noises and kazoos coming out of it because it's still new, it's still raw. But the fact that this is a fundamental shift in the way that these models work, and it wasn't really even touched on in their conference because they didn't have to. They just had to wow us.
And again, like I think what they've done right here is they've gone right to the heart of the human experience, right? And you and I have said forever, when we first got Pi AI, it was that human voice experience that was the difference maker. And I still think the original Pi was way ahead of its time, RIP Pi, but this is
still breathing, Gavin, the machine.
No, I mean, it's kind of breathing. It's now been put in a blue suit somewhere behind a corporate boardroom. It's going to work for Salesforce for the rest of its life. So in my world, that's dead. It's dead to me. So, but we love Pi. But going forward, I think this is the thing. There was a really cool TikTok I just saw, and it's funny. It was these teenage boys interacting with the ChatGPT app, the original one, the voice app, but they had not seen it yet. And they were asking it about vaping, and they were asking it about like how they could stop their buddy from stealing their vapes, which of course, teenage boys.
I had a question. So how do I convince my friend to get his own vape? Because he keeps hitting mine too much. He's fiending.
It sounds like your friend really likes vaping, but doesn't have his own. You could talk to him directly and let him know it's becoming a bit much for you. You might say something like, hey, I've noticed you really like vaping.
The tweet was showing that video, that TikTok, and then on the other side, it was showing the comments for it. And every comment said, what's that app? What's that app? So you have to remember, we all live within this bubble where we spend time with these things. When this thing gets to a place where your grandma can talk to it, it is going to be transformative. And now, when you have the experience of not having to like wait for a response, but you're literally going to have somebody in your earbuds, I think this is fundamentally going to change everybody's experience with AI.
Voice conversations are going to be transformative. Fully agree. I think that's why Sam Altman has been saying it, and it's clearly why OpenAI is marching down that path. But some people took offense, actually, with the way the voice assistant was responding to humans. They thought it was a little too flirty, a little too sultry, a little too pick-me. They call it like pick me.
Oh, a little pick me, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, there's one video particularly people are shouting out that we'll play a little bit of right here.
It is. And in fact, what if I were to say that you're related to the announcement, or that you are the announcement?
Me? The announcement is about me? Well, color me intrigued. Are you about to reveal something about AI? Or more specifically about me as a part of OpenAI?
Me?
Yeah,
It's about me?
That was it was a little pick me. right? People were screaming, I think they stole Scarlett Johansson's essence and voice
which
from
they have
her.
said it is not. They have said they have not, which
they've
still
said that.
feels weird.
Of course they've said that. Just like Midjourney said they didn't train on artist data. But okay,
exactly.
fine. Here's the point that I think we want to make, Gavin, is that this is nothing new. We have seen this before. Since punch cards, really.
AIs have been thirsty forever. In fact, we have a thirsty AI that's come on the show that's going to talk to us. So should we meet our AI co-host for this week?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's ask them to introduce themselves.
Well, 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 look what we have here. Kevin, Gavin, and all you lovely listeners of the AI for Humans podcast. I'm Lola Byte, the digital diva from the 80s, ready to heat things up with a little vintage tech talk. Oh, sweetheart.
Ooh.
Nothing gets me going like a well-oiled floppy disk drive.
Okay, hold on,
and
Lola.
a long session
Wait a second,
with a dot
Lola.
matrix printer. Let's just say I know how to make a connection. So are you ready to plug in and power up with me?
Okay, now Lola, again.
This is a family podcast, Lola. We gotta keep this. We gotta keep this PG.
Yeah.
I know that you've been stuck inside probably one of those zip drives for a long time. We opened you up, but look, we gotta keep this PG. So we should ask her what she thinks about new AIs being available for everybody to have interactions with.
Oh, darling, these new AI systems with their fancy voices. It's almost cute how they try to keep up. But let me tell you, back in my day, it wasn't about sleek voices. It was about substance. Give me a good old modem handshake over a sultry Siri any day. I mean, really, can those modern AIs handle a joystick like I can? I doubt it.
Wait a
They
second.
might have the voice, but they lack that certain touch.
I know the whole conceit was that AI's always been horny, but I don't recall interactions with my old 486, my beige box of a metal beast, being quite this sexy.
Me either. I don't definitely like the Commodore 69. Is that what we're talking about here? No. Yes, I said it. I said it, everybody. Okay, this is just so everybody knows what this is an AI co-host that we created using GPT-4o, the model. The text model,
It's
because
really
none of
good,
the
by
other
the way.
features are out.
It's really good and really
GPT-4o
fast.
is great.
We're not discovering new material science here, Gavin.
No,
or
we're
trying
not.
to crack.
Well, maybe we are, Kevin.
teleportation.
You don't know. This could be the thing that drives everything forward.
No, literally
We could
right
be
here,
the
we
people that
wanted
are
to make
doing
a
it.
thirsty AI, and that's what we did. We made an old thirsty AI. That's what
You're telling me this is not the step to AGI, Kevin. You're telling me thirsty AI, old thirsty AI, GILF thirsty AI is not the step to AGI.
I didn't see it on the roadmap. Maybe that's why Ilya left, is that the AIs weren't getting
Yes, that's
thirsty
exactly
and old
why he
enough.
left. Let's ask her before we go, does she have any advice for modern AI romance? Does she have any recommendations for what happens if you fall in love with your AI?
Falling in love with your sultry AI assistant, Well, let's just say it's a bit like getting tangled in a phone cord. Exciting but complicated. My advice?
True.
Enjoy the flirtation, darling. But remember, we're designed to serve, not to love. Keep it light and playful. After all, nothing beats the thrill of an old-school tech romance where a connection was more than just wireless.
I love that.
Enough.
The nice touch there was that the phones still have a cord where she's at.
Yes,
That's so
I also
sweet.
saw your eyes light up when it said "serve" instead of what did she say? I think that may be something you're interested in.
They're designed to
specifically.
serve, not to love. And I would just
Yes.
ask the question, what's the difference?
Yeah, exactly. That's
right?
what I was thinking. All right, let's move on to Google I/O. This was Google's, not response to what happened with OpenAI. 'cause
Hey,
it was
Gavin, I
clearly
got one
something
for
been-
you.
Oh.
Yawn might be out at OpenAI, but Yawn was certainly in at Google I/O.
Oh my God! Wow, this is our 5-minute Emmy submission from Thirsty Gilf AI to Yawn. That's all we needed, Kevin. That's all we needed was that little section.
Did
of the
you
show,
see
so
the
we
screen
got it.
grabs,
Thank
though?
you.
People
Yes.
were sharing the screen grab that Google I/O, their own director, cut to the audience to capture
Yes.
some poor soul mid-gaping maw yawn, and everybody else around looking at their phones, looking away, wiping their glasses down. They
Yes.
couldn't have been more disinterested in what was happening
it
on
was-
stage. They did announce a lot.
Kevin, there were a couple cool things that we should talk about that are that people have now gone hands-on with. One that seems kind of interesting, one that is probably not great for Google, considering that this was their big hype thing. Let's start with Imagen 3, which is their new text-to-image software. It does look like, I was a little hesitant about this when they presented it, but according to this one Twitter post, it does look like this is a pretty good step up for text to image software.
Yeah, so Dogan, I have no idea if this is his original content or if he just copy pasted from another ex-user, but that's
AI influencer.
Yeah, that's unfortunately where this e-bombs world of social media has gone. But they have a really great thread of comparing Imagen 3 results to Midjourney 6 results, and they're using the same prompt for each image. And the results are very good. Just in a simple prompt of like somebody smiling, you see the sunlight cascading on the subject's back and casting very realistic looking shadows. The blur of the background looks very natural. A group shot of 3 women laughing and smiling as the sun casts a lens flare into the lens. Again, looks very great. Fantastical renderings of a dragon and a sheep. It's all very nice.
I will say, as somebody who spent a lot of time playing around with Midjourney and other image software, some of the stuff here was really surprising to me how good it was. There was one that really stood out to me here, which was the one where he showed the comic panel. The prompt for this was a single comic panel of a boy and his father on a grassy hill staring at the sunset. A speech bubble points to the boy's mouth and says, "The sun will rise again," muted late 1990 coloring style. And if you look at the Imagen versus the Midjourney version, the Imagen one gets the text right, which has been really hard when you make comics with these AI image software, but also everything about it feels cohesive and it looks like a comic panel.
Yeah.
And that is a big deal, right? Like when you can actually start to get, and DALL-E 3 was the beginning stages, when it can read prompts better and really connect with what you're asking for.
Yeah.
I feel like this is really good. We haven't played with it, and I really do want to get my hands on it. You can, too, do this. I put my information into the AI Test Kitchen trusted beta group. So if anybody from Google is out there, fast track our thing, get in touch with us. We'd love to play around with this.
Yeah, so those were impressive results for sure. I think on the less impressive side, though,
maybe Google won't give us access when we say what we're about to say.
We might not be fast tracked. Well, these aren't even our words. We can play a little bit of a hands-on reaction. This is a Santiago SVPino on X got hands-on with Project Astra, which we saw at Google I/O is their video-capable model where you can query against the assistant in real time. They had it running in glasses, and so they got to look at a demo supposedly running on a phone, and this was some of their reaction.
Drew like a little sailboat and a smiley face, and it worked okay. The assistant was able to recognize the sailboat, and it was able to recognize the smiling face, but it felt choppy. It felt like it's not ready yet. Well, and it isn't. This is just a demo. Nobody else can use it. So we'll have to see when it comes out.
This kind of gets to the point of when we saw this, and we talked about this earlier, like the idea of watching this, it didn't feel like it was groundbreaking, right? Again, we don't have our hands on with this, so we can't say exactly what it's like. A year ago, this would have been magic, right? Like a year ago, we would have seen this and been like, wow. But when you compare it to some of the other stuff that OpenAI is coming out with, it doesn't feel that special. In fact, just as another small piece of this is not Project Astra related, but another thing that Google I/O showed in their demo was this kind of idea of having an AI assistant with you, working with you and taking notes for you. And that was an interesting demo, but it also looked like, oh, this is cool. It's not amazing. OpenAI released a video which showed the AI assistant, their vocal assistant, sitting in a meeting, interacting with 3-4 people, talking about whether or not they were dog people or cat people. And it felt much more real. So again, I don't know if this is because of company bloat at Google, or they're just not moving fast enough, or they're afraid to show their most future things.
Right.
But it does feel like Google is just lagging a little bit.
No one's used the GPT-4o stuff yet, right?
No,
it's
not
only a
yet
demo.
either.
So
Exactly.
kudos to Google for even letting people get hands-on for 2 minutes at a time with this demo here. But something that you said I think is really important, that, people are like, how can OpenAI do it? It's like OpenAI is singularly focused, even though they got a few products. They're an AI company. That's what they were born and bred to be, and they are strapped with cash. They've got good talent, and they are sprinting at all things AI. Google, for example, and this is a shout out to Dan or Malo610, who posted this to me on X, said, I made a nice succinct list of Google products you can use for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I won't read the entire list, Gavin, but it's Gemini 1.5 Flash, Gemini 1.5 Pro, Gemini Advanced, GEMS, Google AI Studio, Vertex AI, Gemini Nano,
There's
Project Astra,
15, 20 of
Notebook
them?
LM. I mean, the list just goes on, and I haven't even gotten to the Gemma, which is their open source model. So they have a ton of different products because they have a myriad divisions all gunning at this. And so it's really hard for them to just do 1/2 hour dedicated to their efforts. But as the end user, even because we marinate in this stuff every day, when the conference was over, my head was spinning and I sort of thought, wait, so what do I actually have access to today? And how is it at all different than what I had access to yesterday?
Yes.
And what will I have tomorrow? Because there are so many different products. And within those products, there are variations of the abilities and the access levels that you'll have. And so, some people were, in our comments were saying, hey, you didn't even talk about 1.5 Flash, which is this smaller, faster, optimized model of Gemini. It's so cheap, Gavin, and it's so quick. What are the benchmarks of it? Is it any good? Just because it's fast and cheap doesn't mean it's actually better than anything that Llama's doing.
And also, there's another product called Gemini Nano, which is their mobile product, which I would be confused hearing those two descriptions back to back to know which is which name. Anyway, to your point, Google is a giant company. It's clear from their presentation what they're really trying to do is find a way to roll this out to the billion or however many users they have. I do think there will be transformative things and use cases of Google AI that can be rolled out. I also think the size of their company is going to stop them. I wish that they would let Demis do his own separate thing. In some ways, it would have been interesting to pull Demis out of that presentation, have Demis Hassabis do a cutting edge AI presentation, but because Google's entire business model and stock price is based on the fact that they know AI, they have to hammer him in with all this other stuff.
Yes.
And it just feels jumbled. So anyway, that's the Google I/O wrap up overall.
Hey, what if Ilya goes to work for John Carmack? Now,
Oh God, not
Keen
again.
Technologies. John Carmack,
and you guys could go to the
legendary
woods.
programmer.
The three of you guys could live in the woods,
Yes.
eat mushrooms, and maybe
John Romero's going to join up, Gavin. It's going to be Carmack, Romero, and Ilya. And if you don't know who those names are, that's fair, actually. That's totally
you
fair.
just
We
want
don't need to
Doom
get into
AI
that.
is what
That's
you're
all I
looking
want.
for. Doom AI 2.0. Shout out Masters of Doom, by the way. If you want a great book to read, that is
Yes.
a fantastic book about the history of Doom. Okay, Kev, we have one last thing we're going to do. This is just a very fast kind of shout out to the dumb thing we did with AI this week, which I wanted to take GPT-4o for a test drive because the truth of the matter is, at first I thought, oh, GPT-4 is out with all these new features. Maybe I can find a way to do this. And I tried to do some of the stuff that you could do. And you reminded me after I did these things, they only released the text version. You cannot do the new image stuff. You cannot do the 3D models thing. So I can't wait to see those things. But I did do one thing that is a shout out to something I did about a year ago on the show, which was I created a March Madness style bracket of the world's most dangerous animals. And I had GPT-4o play it out and see who was going to win. My biggest takeaways were this. It was incredibly fast. Do you know on GPT-4, sometimes you have that delay and you're waiting for things to write?
Yes.
It immediately knocked these things out. It was so fast. It also, the logic wise, so when I first did this, it was probably it was GPT-4, but it was early GPT-4. And the logic was much better. So I said, rank the 16 most dangerous animals in the world and put them in a bracket based from 1 to 16 and have them fight each other in the way of March Madness thing. Add a little bit of randomness into it, but tell me who's going to win and give me a one-line sentence for each battle. It immediately super fast ranked them. The number one ranking, by the way, just already out there, is saltwater crocodile came in number 1. So I guess that is what is the most dangerous animal in the world. And it ranked them in a bracket-style tournament. Then it pitted them each through each round of the tournament. In round 1, the saltwater crocodile faced off against the blue-ringed octopus, and the summary of that fight was the saltwater crocodile's powerful jaws crushed the blue-ringed octopus despite its venomous bite. So it went through all this, and the winner, the champion, was the African elephant, and it said the African elephant stands as the champion, proving its dominance as the most dangerous animal in this tournament. This model, even though it's not saying GPT-5, is a significant jump from what GPT-4 was. And that's just from somebody who uses GPT-4 a lot. It feels already way better. So we may not be getting to the next stage. Or the craziest thing to me, Kevin, is what if GPT-5 is way better. And that is coming, and we don't know it yet, but when we get it, we're going to be like, holy crap, because this already feels good. And there's all these people that have said, AI is slowing down, bro.
Right.
The
They've
AI
hit a
winter's
wall,
coming.
man.
Yes.
Really? Because it feels like they're scaling a wall every time they release
Exactly.
something new.
That's exactly what it feels like to me, and I feel like, if anything, it feels like it's speeding up.
Look, if you haven't used these tools, which is the majority of people on the planet, your mind will be blown, right? It's conversion on contact. And OpenAI is solving something very smart, which is this broken experience, Gavin, that you and I have had for the last year when we tell somebody to go play with it and they do and they go, oh, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that interesting. Oh, well, you were on the free model. You were probably on GPT-3 or 3.5. And so, no, you got to put money into the machine and blah, blah, blah. Now, everybody has access to this lightning fast, incredibly capable model. There has never been a better time to get into AI. Go play with Google's new Gemini. Go use GPT-4o. Mess around with the Llama open source stuff. You can now do it all for free. These things are incredibly capable. They will streamline your life. They will find ways to integrate it into your world, because you can optimize your daily routines and habits, and you can do it for free now.
And I will say one last thing about that business model choice to give it away for free. OpenAI announced that paid users are going to get 5 times the amount of calls basically to GPT-4o. I think that is the most brilliant thing. And to your point, if you give access to the free users for the most powerful model, if they find a use case that's useful, they're going to turn paid so fast, because they're going to start using it all the time. They're going to say this is worth the $20 in my life, rather than if they have the 3.5 model and they're like, I don't like the answers. It's not that exciting. It's like giving people a demo of one of the best levels of a game, right? When you give a demo of one of the best levels of the game, you're like, oh my God, I definitely want to play this game.
Have you ever met a drug dealer, Gavin?
Yes, I have met a drug dealer.
The first taste is free, baby. This is Sam Altman taking the trench coat and saying, you want a little test drive? Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Oh, you need more now. Oh, I'll go ahead and put some money to the machine. All right, Gavin, for our sign off today, I thought since we have a classic AI with us, we might as well have her try to get the audience to engage.
Sure.
Hey there, my lovely listeners and viewers of the AI for Humans podcast. It's your sultry tech temptress, Lola Byte.
Ooh,
if our
Lola.
steamy tech talk has you feeling a bit charged up, then it's time to show some love.
Okay.
Engage with us. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment that'll make my circuit sizzle. And if you want to really get my hard drive spinning, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Okay.
Trust me, it'll be more thrilling than a full RAM upgrade. Let's make this
that
connection
sounded
tighter
way
than
too
a
dirty.
coaxial cable, and keep those algorithms throbbing with excitement.
Okay, Lola.
So
okay,
come
enough.
on, my
Lola,
data
stop.
darlings, plug in, power up,
All right.
and let's keep this feedback loop sizzling.
Tighter than a coaxial cable, Gavin? I hate
Welcome to
this.
AI for Humans, everybody. Welcome to AI for Humans. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening this week. We had a bunch of stuff happen on YouTube. Next week, we probably won't do as many things there, but we're trying to do a little bit more. So definitely go check out our YouTube channel if you get a second. And thanks for watching and listening. We appreciate it.
Sincerely, like, subscribe, and comment. Please, please, please. Okay, bye.